I'd like to take this time to thank our sponsor, RX Smart Gear. Dave and his team have developed the perfect jump rope to counter common performance miscues, which in turn enhance the learning experience. They have an ergonomic grip and a swivel connection for better accuracy, and the resistance levels have helped with better timing. And the custom sizes promote proper form and technique. It's built durable to stand up to the rigors of intense workouts, and it was in fact prescribed to help you get better. That's how the RX Smart Gear jump rope was born. Dave Newman and his team have been a great partner for us in the podcast, and we appreciate him so much for all of his support. So don't forget to use the Clydesdale 15 discount code at checkout and get 15% off your order at rxsmartgear.com. And don't forget that that excludes new releases and special editions.
We are so excited to now have Mobility Movement as a partner. Their holistic approach to recovery is second to none. This is not just a program that helps with your flexibility and mobility, it also assists with stress release and sleep, two key factors in overall recovery. The website gives you a plan for each week, saves your favorites, gives you sleep protocols, has a specific protocol for your first week joining, and then there are these new things called open snacks, which are super cool. Here you are given quick warm-ups and cool-down protocols for the open WODs, featuring elite athletes Allison Scudds and Saxon Panchik. And who doesn't need recovery after those open workouts? The extensive library available to you is both vast and diverse. If you want to try Mobility Movement, go to mobilitymovement.com. That is mobilitymvmnt.com. And make sure you use our code Clydesdale20, all caps, to get 20% off your first 6 months. That's mobilitymovement.com, mobilitymvmnt.com. Use code Clydesdale20 to get 20% off your first 6 months. I've been using this since the first of the year, and I am sleeping better than I have in so many years. And with all the back issues I've had over the last 5 years, this has given me so much relief, and I'm able to work out 4 to 5 times a week without any pain at all. So go to mobilitymovement.com. That's mobilitymvmnt.com and use Clydesdale20 to get 20% off your first 6-month subscription. Hey everyone, welcome to the Clydesdale Fitness and Friends. My name is Scott Schweitzer. I am the Clydesdale. We love to do fitness, and this is my friend. I have Matt Poulin with me today. Did I get that right?
Yes, I believe so, but yes, Matt Poulin.
And if you don't know who that is, he finished second in the Worldwide CrossFit Open behind Saxon Panchik. And if you don't know who that is, he is here today, and we're going to learn about him. He is a semifinalist from last year, so it's not like he came out of the blue. But we are going to learn as much as we can today and get to know Matt a little bit. So, Matt, welcome.
Thanks for having me, and I guess maybe, I know we're doing this podcast, maybe we should say unofficially second. Still waiting to get those verified, but just to kind of save my skin if it doesn't work out, but hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, excited to be here. Like I said, we're going to get to have some fun, and I always enjoy doing this. Tell a story and paint a picture.
Yeah, I'm going to say second. I don't have any lawyers to protect it or whatever. But whatever.
All right.
So what I want to know first is you're 26 years old. You've only done the Open 3 times going into this year? Or this year?
So this was my 4th.
Okay.
And my first one, it was back when, was it 19? It was when we had the Open in October. So, like, I did, like, 2 Opens within, that, 5 months or whatever that was. So, calendar-wise, it was my 4th Open. So,
yeah, so you haven't been in the sport very long for a 26-year-old who's doing so well this year. What is your athletic background leading up into CrossFit?
Yeah, so growing up, I played since I was 8, or before that 5, just baseball. Started riding t-ball, and then about 8 years old, I started ball, and then I played those up and through high school, and then was able to play collegiate baseball for 4 years, and through those 4 years trying to, the aspiration at that point was to try to maybe take it to the next level and just play professionally, but the cards just didn't line up the way they needed to, which is okay because I wouldn't be here in this situation now. But essentially, like right after I finished baseball my senior year, I just hopped into CrossFit, like I said, fitness and like weightlifting, just fitness in general. But at that time, it was more probably weightlifting was always big, especially growing up playing football. And so that being said, though, I was kind of like tired of all of that type of work. I was tired of doing just bench, squat, row 3x10, just your traditional kind of global gym kind of style. And so when baseball was coming to an end, I was like, oh, I've heard of this CrossFit thing, and I want to try it out. And like I tried it out, I believe like my senior winter break. So going right before my senior year of baseball, I kind of stopped in. I went home and I stopped in at a CrossFit gym to try it out. And like right off the bat, like I was hooked. And I was like, oh, this is so much more fun and than just what I've been doing in the gym originally. And like I will definitely be doing this once I'm done with baseball. And then so when it was, I just hopped into it and just kind of hit the gates running, honestly.
So before we get into all the CrossFit stuff, where did you play college baseball?
Yeah, so out of high school, I signed to a college called Sonoma State, from California, and that's over in like I forgot the town. But it was like north of Napa Valley. I didn't go there out of high school because my senior year, I wasn't smart, and I was being a high school kid, and I hurt myself doing a class project for like AP government. At the time I thought it was going to be worth it, but obviously looking back I was like, well, I hurt my shoulder, I tore my labrum, and they were like, yeah, sorry buddy, we're going to take your scholarship away. So had to go to junior college for a few years for my first 2 years. After I had surgery, had to take a year of just trying to rehab, get it back. And then went to Sacramento City College for 2 years. Out of there, I went and transferred to the University of Utah in Salt Lake, and I was there for my junior year. Playing at that level was awesome. Like playing in like the Pac-12 was pretty exciting. But going into my senior year, I just didn't see there being I just wasn't feeling good about how it was going to work out my senior year. So I was like, I think I probably need to find a new home. And then just a wild story, kind of ended up in Oklahoma at Oklahoma Baptist University for my senior year, and finished there. And then I've just stayed here in Oklahoma since.
So you kind of glossed over that you injured your shoulder doing AP history?
And AP government.
AP government.
I think so. Maybe normal government. I don't know. But yeah, just some class skit. And I think last time I checked, I showed some friends, it's still on like YouTube. It was like so the point of the government was like we were campaigning for like a fictional just politician or whatnot. And so we were just trying to make this ad or whatnot. And part of the ad was just me getting blindsided by one of like our star middle linebacker who was like went D1 football, just massive, and I could take a hit, but it's a totally different story when I just there like a dummy. I'm just sitting there and then just get destroyed, and I wasn't even thinking, and then he tackled me onto my throwing side of my arm, and so I just landed on my throwing shoulder, and I was like, oh man, this looking back at it obviously was very stupid, but if that doesn't happen, I'm probably most definitely not here right now. So, yeah. And
you have a story for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Well, are you talking about the video? Or are you talking about this kind of journey we're on now?
Well, the fact that you injured your arm in a government class.
Yeah. Well, not too many people know that. I think I tell them I heard it in football because it's technically on a football field, but now the truth comes out.
Exclusive. Got it here first.
Yeah, honestly.
All right. So what position did you play?
And I was a catcher. Yeah, man, I love catching. I love the I loved the aspect of it. It was such a perfectionist position. Like there was there was just nothing. You never officially. I'm trying to say there's always something to work on. I'm trying to say there's always something to work on, which I love. I love like just getting to go do some more drills or just getting to work on this, just to get it better, to get it closer to perfect. You're never going to get there, but just that mentality. And obviously you're kind of always in the action too. And you got a leadership role on the field. And I don't know, I just something that I love doing. I love catching. And I was trying to talk Mike. So I came back and I did have like a pretty good arm. Like that I would say probably one of my strongest tools back then was like I could throw the ball. And even would come back from labrum surgery, like came back pretty darn. I came back I guess I was pretty lucky. I knew a lot of guys who've had the same type of surgery who just couldn't even pick up their shoulder, couldn't throw a ball worth 20 feet. I got pretty lucky to come back, and I could still, I could throw the ball pretty hard, and I would always mess with my coaches my senior year. Towards the end, I was like, man, let me get on that mound, please. Just let me how cool would it be to be catching, and then all of a sudden just come in on the ninth, just take your gear off, and just go close out a game. And never let me do it. I was close. I was like, every day I would just be nagging them, and I would just be purposely on the mound, just throwing. And we get the radar gun out. I'm like, look at this. Look, I could throw 90 off the mound. Like, that's pretty good. And they would just never let me do it. But, anyways, reminiscing on, I guess, some good times back in the baseball days.
Yeah, I was not a fan of the catching position. I did it in an emergency role a few times. But, man, you can get beat up if your pitcher's not that great.
And just foul, like, I guess I'm a little weird, but man, like sometimes you get the foul tip nicks, just like I said, you're getting the ball just straight off your forearms, and just I don't know if I had to, I just learned to like that feeling. It would hurt so bad, but if you just it's going to happen to you all the time. So if you just always had a negative connotation with just getting beat up, hit with a foul ball, or just ball in the dirt, it was just going to wear on you. And so I just kind of was like, I'm going to learn to like this pain, and kind of a little weird thing. Honestly, I kind of forgot about that too, but yeah, I would kind of eat it up. I would just kind of fire myself up a little bit. Kind of would wear one off the forearm, or wear one. The worst ones are the ones that foul tip off the dirt, and then they'll kind of they'll hit the bottom of your thigh, which when you're in position, those are the worst.
I knew where you were going when you said in the dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, my main position was pitcher. So when I did catch, I gave me an appreciation for my catchers.
What you're putting them through sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, but it's a well, it depends the person at all, but it's the word. I don't know. It's a thankless job. Like I said, it's like for me personally, man. Like I'd try taking my pitcher best I could, and I get pitched sometimes that would kind of beat themselves up for just overthrowing this pitch and it falling in the dirt and just me having to block. And I'm like, hey man, that is my job. And like, I'll do the best that I can. And obviously I will block every single thing. I'll keep it all from every single time. Cause that's my job. And like, I want to take care of you, and I just want you to go out there and I want you to do what you do. Like, don't worry about that. Get that out of your mind. I need you to focus on everything else other than trying to mess up. And, I had so you have those good mound visits, good conversations with some of your pitchers, and yeah, man. I guess I haven't really reminisced or talked about my baseball days like this in quite a bit of time. I've kind of just it's in the past, and it was a good run, but I don't know. It's kind of cool getting to kind of revisit some of the good memories of that time.
So I want to make a connection here and see if this is something that does exist. You talked about the mentality of like getting fired up when you took the nick, right? And that pain and does that help you in a CrossFit workout when you have to go into that pain cave, right? Is that the same mentality you use there?
That's a good question. I would say to an extent, I think it's a little different. I think because when it came to, the little baseball nick in the catching, like that was something unexpected, right? You didn't know when it was going to happen, but when it did, you can be like, okay, we're going to run with it this way. More so, like, right, we're in the CrossFit space, like, when something's going to hurt or when it's going to you just know how it's going to feel most likely. And if anything, it's kind of like sometimes you get scared of those, like, oh, I do not want to hurt like that right now. But I think it's more of, like I said, it's coming, and it's not like it's instant, right? It just gradually builds up. But it's always having, like I said, the little voice in your head that's just telling you to, like, hey, you can slow down, man. It's okay. You don't want to hurt. You can slow down. And then just constantly telling that voice to just go away and just to shut up. Be like, hey, nope. If you want it, you're going to have to hurt, and you're going to have to keep digging into it. And that's something like just I kind of try to practice on the daily, whether, like, depends whether it's, 9 times out of 10 it is from training, but there are even some life circumstances where that is the same thing too, like where you got to go into doing something you don't want to do, but you got to tell yourself, no, well, this is what has to be done. So go back to answer your question, I think it's a little different. I'm sure there is a correlation for sure.
So where I'm going with the correlation is you have a choice, right? You have a choice to embrace the pain like you did when you were catching, right? Or you could be like, oh, that really hurts, and just kind of deflate, right? You had those two choices, and you're like, no, I'm going to feed off this and get better. When you hit that point in a workout, you have that choice there too, right? The inner voice is talking to you, and do you listen to the inner voice, or do you embrace the suck and move through it?
No, you're right. Actually, like I said, you're dealt these cards, and you can go one way with it, or you can go the other way with it, and it's not. I think it has to do a little bit with probably like just how the person is, just like what's created. Like I think it's a little bit of just just what that person is made of, but also I think it is something that can be practiced and cultivated, just like any other skill. And like I said, because I just explained that even before this, right? Like every day I'm trying to practice that a little more. When it is I'm going in the morning and I'm just doing these awful hour-long just straight aerobic or whatever session it is, and you want to slow down, but you're like, no, I know that this pace here is what it's going to take to beat everybody else, and I have to keep that pace. And like I said, it's not, you don't win all the time. There's some, I think it's even last night, man, they gave me this brutal 20-minute AMRAP, and I was like, oh, I do not want to do this right now. This is not going to feel good. And sometimes you just got to go in and you just got to check the box. Like you got to get it done. And was it probably my best performance on it? Probably not. But it was like the last day of my 3-day training block, so pretty tired. But like I said, you win some, you lose some, but you just got to try to win more than you lose. And but I think you're absolutely right on that. You can either shy away from it, or you learn to embrace it and go with it. And I think it's something you can practice and get better at.
So you are currently with Brute Strength?
Yes.
How long have you been with them?
Not how long. I think probably officially got on with them, I think last August or September. I was kind of doing my own little thing with what my gym does now. Like his name's Zach Zussman, and he just offers so much for our gym. But he has like our class workouts, but also he also offers just so many extra sort of just programming on the side for people who want to compete and get better and whatnot. And so I did that for the longest time. Like I'd just be doing class workouts and then a little bit of the extra stuff, some lifting, some other things, some gymnastics. And like I said, it got me to where I was at going into last year's semifinals. But after the semifinals, me and him kind of sat down. He's like, hey man, I think like after what happened like this year, he's like, I just haven't been able to, like, I haven't coached an athlete at this like level before. And obviously I'll be here for you for whatever I can. But I think for you to reach what you want to reach, is you're gonna have to reach out to some people who have done this and know what to do. And so through then I just kind of reaching out to some coaches, some programming and whatnot, and kind of got lucky because out the West, I went to the West Coast Classic last year, and I think one of the Brute coaches, Nick Fowler, kind of, because I caught his eye a little bit, to where when I reached out, they kind of knew who I was already, which was nice. And then just from there, communicating just kind of what their, how their mythology is, that to go on training and how to, and, you know, all that was something that kind of really lined up really well with kind of how my mentality, my, like, how I attack kind of life and do things. And so I was like, okay. And then from there, just thought it over, molded over, had some other like routes I could have went. And I was like, I think this is the way to go. And obviously I think it's been paying off pretty well. And so like someone been with them 6 months, 7 months. And so, yeah, it's been cool. They beat me up quite a bit, but it's worth it.
So are you with Nick now?
No, I'm not. So my coach is Coach L. He's a man. Me and him, I know we click on a lot of things. I think we're just kind of pretty similar people. And so he kind of understands my thought process, my mind, and but also knows, well, he knows that, but then he also knows what I need to get pushed on and what I need to work on. And so it's a good relationship dynamic that I think we have because of that, because we are similar. We know kind of how each other operate, or at least he knows how I operate more. So I'm still figuring him out, I guess.
So what is the biggest difference you've seen going from like class workouts to going to Brute?
Yes. And I guess to back up a little before, I actually trained with Jump Ship with named Seth, who runs that, back going into West Coast for about like 2 months. So I had a little bit of taste of like that type of like semi-final / games level programming. So I had a little bit of taste of that. The biggest thing I've noticed with Brute than I have just look at any other programming is that how their intention of just attacking like your weaknesses. So like the first few weeks of getting on is just straight testing. There's all these broad types of tests. They'll test your aerobic capacity, your power output, overall strength, just everything. Put you all these tests, and it's a brutal 2 weeks because you're just going max effort every single day on all these handful of tests. But then from there, they kind of build a profile of like, okay, well, this is what you're really good at. This is what you're okay at. This is what you need to work on. And from there, we're going to make a plan that, like I said, you can't lose the things you're good on, but we need to get these things we're not so good on up to par or above par. And so that is, I think, what has been such a big difference is that we're always constantly attacking our weakness, or like the overall underlying theme of training every week is always surrounded by like what we need to work on. And obviously we're still hitting everything else, but and like if I'm being personally like in my own belief system, I think that is like that's kind of how my mind operates too, is that obviously you need to work on your strengths still. You got to keep your strengths, but how are you going to get better? You got to make what you're not so good at what you are good at, or at least increase them to the standard, to par with everyone else. That is the biggest thing, the intentionality of hitting those weaknesses.
So I think that's a great place to jump off onto the West Coast Classic. I looked at your finishes throughout that weekend, and I was there. I love that event. Okay. It was so much fun there.
It was fun. It was.
But from events 2 through 5, you killed it. Right? Yep. You had a 11th, 4th, 3rd, 10th. Other than those 4, you dropped into that 20-something place, right?
Yeah.
So it's obvious that you have some things you're really, really good at and some things that you need to work on. Have you seen a dramatic difference since last when was that? Last May?
May. Yes, I would say so. I think the things that I'm good at have stayed what I'm good at, and the things that I'm not so good at, we are just consistently working, like I said, on those. Going back to the West Coast, one of the workouts was heavy, with heavy pressing, shoulder pressing, volume, or I guess volume you could say, with the 6-inch depth of handstand push. Like, it was a lot, and my pressing strength is something I'm working on a lot. And so that was one where we went in, just tried to do some damage control, in which, yeah, that's exactly what happened. The other one was the snatch ladder, which a snatch is just not my best lift. Which we're consistently working on that snatch pulling. And then the last one was the finale, the clean finale. So like the quick 1.5-minute workout, which that one I don't, and it's not making excuses, just what happened is I wouldn't put that in the category. I think I finished towards the bottom of that on that workout, but that was only because I was right outside of making the last chance. And so I just had to go for it, and I just went for it and went for that last bar, probably just a millisecond too soon, and missed it, and I missed it again, and I'm like, okay, well that was it. And so, but yeah, you're right. It was a lot of highs, a lot of lows. I think overall, me as an athlete, I'm pretty even keel just to begin with, as in I'll do pretty good on a lot of the things. Elle's working on me to try to be more attack, more of an attack mentality on workouts I need to win. Just to go out and we're practicing on going out and getting burned, and because sometimes it's going to happen, but other times is you're going to go out and you're going to win it, and that's what you need. You need to be able to hit that home run at times, and that's what he constantly kind of pushes me at, and he gets mad at me when I just I'll do a workout and it doesn't look like I'm going really hard, but I am. But it just, I don't know, for some reason he always gets on me for you're not making it look hard. I need you to make it look hard. And I'm like, I'm trying, I swear. But no, I think I'm I'm quite a bit significantly better than I was last year in May. It's not even a year ago, and which is exciting. So.
Yeah, and I would have to say, I went to all the North American semifinals last year. West Coast was the most brutal of the workouts. Because you're doing former games workouts, former regionals workouts, so they were no joke workouts, and it was a pretty stiff field.
That ruck run was probably the biggest mental test I've had, I think, in this in the sport. It was, man, I think lap 2 or 3, because I think it was total of 4 laps of essentially a mile-long course, was you just I just want to slow down a little bit. I want to slow down a little bit. But you slow down, you're losing places, and you can't. They're going to catch you. And it was funny. I ran that. I didn't think it was that big a deal. I didn't realize how much nicer it is to run in running shoes than it is just nanos. So I ran that whole ruck run in just nanos. And I was like, I was fine, I'm good. But then everyone came up to me after, did you wear those in the ruck run? And I was like, yeah, dude, it's the only shoes I got. And they're like, dude, are your feet just totally blistered? I'm like, no, they're a little hot, but they're fine. And then I think so a few months ago, I should probably get some runners just in case something happens again. And got a pair of runners, hopped on an air runner one time and running. I'm like, oh, this is so much better than running in a flat shoe. Just kind of funny though to. Going back to that, because that was a big mental test, but it came out pretty. I knew I had to do good on that one. I'm good at running, and so I think I'm getting 4th on that one, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was brutal just walking around Vegas that weekend. I can't imagine. It was 115 to 118 degrees.
Yeah, and just throat just. So obviously I'm out in Oklahoma, so at that same time it was still pretty hot. But it was just we have a little more humidity, and that whole week and a half, 2 weeks leading up to West Coast, I made it an intent to be outside running in that 100-degree weather as much as I could, or just doing anything, whether it was on a machine or whether it called for in the gym, I would just take it outside and I would do it outside because I'm going to get used to this, working out in the direct heat because I know it's going to help with when we go to Vegas. But yeah, that was obviously you're not thinking about it during the time. You think about it on your off time, but in the end, you can't do anything about it. Just go. So.
Yeah, and I think people underestimated the elevation too.
For me personally, I don't. So I'm from my first 20 years of my life in Northern California. So I'm kind of used to the dry heat as well. to me, I didn't really think much of the elevation. I think I probably remember hearing people bring that up. I didn't even know honestly what sea level Las Vegas is at, but I think just the heat in general and I think the dryness was really what got a lot of people.
So then we moved to Wodapalooza this year, and
Yes.
you were killing it, man. And then in the Celebrate 10, you had a shoulder flare up.
Yeah, like good old AP Gov coming back to get you. Yeah, like that going into Miami. I got an invite, which was crazy. I was like, how did I get an invite? Like I have done, comparatively to other people, like I don't know. I'm not at that place yet where I get invites to these things. So that was super exciting, and I don't know, it was just definitely a big blessing because I told my coach I needed to hit a big competition in this off season just to have that feeling again, because I don't want my next feeling of semifinal to be that next semifinal from last year. Like I need to practice being at that type of that whole schedule and just everything, just getting used to the experience. And so, but that being said, all the big comps were essentially just invites. This whole year, Rogue was just solid invites. Same with Dubai, so not a lot of things to qualify for. And like I said, I had a little off-season shoulder procedure done to help my shoulder. Happened in September, so I needed like a few months after that to kind of recover. And so even the ones that did require a qualifier, I couldn't do because I was still kind of rehabbing. And then all of a sudden that invite came in. I was like, oh, what? This is crazy. Was just, I don't know, it was awesome to just get the opportunity. And so that's what it was going into Miami. It was like, well, obviously you're going in, want to do your best. And like we set out a goal of, I think, honestly, our goal was top, and I'm probably being a little modest, like I think finishing the top half of the field would be cool, would be a good goal to achieve, especially I was only like a month off of that shoulder, like of training after the shoulder procedure. So I think I had like all of December to kind of get back into normal training for it. So we're like, okay, I think with the names there, with the type of games athletes there, I think sitting top half would be cool, would be a good goal. Talking with coach with L, and I don't know, go in and I think surprise myself a little bit. I think I surprised L, my coach, a little bit, and I think I surprised probably quite a bit of people a little bit just going in. And I think I don't know, like I said, you get that first event under your belt, and then it's just like, well, feeling's gone. Let's just keep it going. And then obviously Sally ended in the Celebrate 10. Just a lot of shoulder volume, and for me coming back from what I had done on my shoulder, we just didn't have that much training at that volume underneath it, and so those heavier overhead squats just kind of. And my mobility was trash. I've been working on that hard a lot because if I can't put my lower body in a good position, it's going to cause my upper body to be in a bad position, and then that's when little tweaks happen. And so been working on that a lot, but it was a little. Did I want to finish out the weekend and finish it strong? Because I knew those last two workouts were going to be good for me. Like I'm going to finish strong in those as well, and who knows where we finish on the weekend. But in the hindsight, this year is about not only getting to the games, but performing at the games. And does me finishing this last day and doing two workouts, is that going to help with that? Or is it possibly going to further along this little tweak you had and probably hurt you? And so I think tough decision, but with a lot of calling and talking to my wife, like she was like, it was like an hour before the workout and I had to call her. I'm like, okay, what do you think? And she just reasoned well with me and told me what I needed to hear. And so put down the phone. I told Elle, I'm like, I think we're just going to have to, call it here and just, get ready for the season. So, yeah.
Well, the crazy statistic is you finished 21st, almost in the top half, and you didn't do the last two events.
Missing out on 200 points. Yeah. Yeah, it is. I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of funny. I don't know if that was right, if that was just kind of some weird coincidence of, oh, your goal was top 20. Well, I'll throw you at 21, but you didn't finish the weekend, just to kind of, I don't know, throw a little fire at you. But yeah, I guess that is kind of crazy when you think about it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Pretty impressive, I would say. And
Thank you.
so I think you made the right decision by
Yeah.
getting ready for the week, getting ready for the season. You go into the Open, and your lowest finish was 11th.
Yeah. Also, I think surprised myself a little bit with all this as well, and I think I even surprised. I think I continue to surprise quite a bit of people, I'd say. Um, so I sit down and talk to my wife, and obviously, right, disclosure, this is unofficial yet. I don't know what happens when they're going to check our videos, but I felt pretty confident that I did everything correct. But I was telling my wife, like, man, it's right, you're hearing all this talk about people saying the Open doesn't matter, and like, yes, I get that argument, but also for some of us who aren't already the superstars in the sport that don't have this recognition, notoriety, like this does matter for us because this is just an opportunity for us to show people who we are and what we can do. But that being said, I still think we finished quite a bit better than we were expecting. And so I was telling my wife, like, man, it's crazy that like as we're going through each week, like I remember telling myself even last year's Open or even my first two Opens that like, man, my first two Opens I finished like 75th in the world on like both of them, and I'm like, well, that's pretty dang good. But I would still remember telling myself like the distance between my scores and then the guys at the very top were like, how can you humanly do that? Like, how can you physically do that? Like, it was such a huge leap. And I would just tell myself, right, after those past 3 years of like, man, I hit this as hard as I could. Like, how are these guys doing it like 2 minutes faster than me? That is crazy to go into this year. And I'm like, oh, I'm like one of those people that's doing it a few minutes faster than a lot of people. Like, it's kind of was, I don't know, it was a cool surreal feeling, or like, oh, I am the person that like I was telling myself a year ago, like, how the heck do you do that? And like I think as the weeks went on and like the leaderboards kind of stood, we were like I surprised myself. I think I honestly, Coach Al will tell you, I think he was pretty surprised too. He wasn't expecting this, and yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, it's pretty crazy that happened. So close to even being at the very top. Thought so, but Saxon over here edging me out by a few seconds. That's all it takes. It's crazy.
Yeah. And that's a great performance for him. He's never been an Open competitor. So, maybe it's important for him too, someone who usually doesn't do well in the Open. I liked your take on that. I liked that you said that, yeah, people say the Open doesn't matter, but for some it does. Some it really matters. You're trying to make this a professional sport for you, I'm sure. And the more noticed you get, the more opportunities are going to come for you to help you make this your profession.
Yeah.
So I know you still work. So what do you do for a living?
Oh, yes. So I'm an operations supervisor at UPS. It'll beat you up. It'll wear you down. Operations, man, and especially for UPS, where like it doesn't care if you have your people showing up for work, if you don't feel good, if someone like it doesn't stop. It's going to come no matter what, and so you better prepare for it and be ready. And like luckily, I feel like I'm pretty good at what I do in there. So I'd say like 9 times out of 10, we got a good run and sort, operate, run smooth, go in, everybody's happy. But sometimes the flow, the amount of volume you get that comes in just overwhelms you. You couldn't even prepare for it, and you're getting your teeth kicked in a little bit at work. But yeah, that's what I currently do. I've been doing that for a few years. I was a math teacher before that for a short little stint. That's my undergrad. My bachelor's degree is in math. And I thought I thought that's what I was wanting to do, was to teach math, because I love kids and I love math. And I was like, oh man, what cooler ways to just like, I don't know. I wanted to be the cool math teacher, because I know growing up, like I always enjoyed math class. It didn't matter if the teacher was, kind of lame or if he was really cool. But I remember always hearing everybody else say, man, like this class, like our teacher's so boring, like this class is boring. And that's just the stigma that you get with math, with math class. And so I was like, well, I'm going to change that. I'm going to go in and I want to make this fun, man. Fun as I can. I'm going to teach them math and I want to make this super cool. Man, I set up like a little mini basketball hoop in the classroom, and I'd have kids. I'd have to select a handful of kids for each test or quiz to like shoot for some extra credit points. Or like, I don't know, I just have like some music playing on, and we just play these kind of cool, just little games. But just, I don't know, I wanted to make it fun for them. And like I thought that I wanted to do that, but reevaluating, like I said, my wife was my girlfriend at the time. We were about to get engaged, and we were just looking at future plans, and we're like, man, I probably can't be the breadwinner with the teacher salary, especially in Oklahoma. And so through then, my father-in-law talked me on, who's been at UPS for 3 decades. He's like, hey, got a lot of opportunity here. I know you'll do really well. And it's a means, like I said, it can be means to an end. But the biggest thing is he also talked me into going back and getting my master's. So I'm getting my MBA right now. And so still working on that too. Hopefully that'll be done. I hope I graduate at the end of this year, I think in the winter. I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't, because every time I talk to my advisor, for some reason, more classes just pop up. But I'm pretty sure if I ran my numbers right, hopefully it's the end of this winter, which will be nice, because it's just, man, you get home from training and then going to work, getting your butt kicked at work, and then getting your butt kicked in training. And the last thing you want to do is come home and go do hours of homework. So ready for that to be over.
Yeah, I got my master's, my MBA, when I was working 40 hours a week.
Teach me some stuff. Oh, I don't know how you did it, man.
And I had a newborn baby.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, I almost got a divorce halfway through. I really, like, halfway through, I was like, is this even worth it? Like, because it is putting a rift right in my family. And my wife and I sat down and talked and said, just head down. You're over halfway. Don't waste the money you've put into this.
Yeah, exactly.
And just get through it. And so I finished, but man, it was not easy.
I can't imagine. Yeah, you're right. Like, it's not like it's any short load compared to where you were in undergrad. It's a 40-hour work week on top of it, and still try to do this. Like, it's, yeah, good for you. I can imagine.
Yeah. So you talk about your wife, Abigail.
Oh yes.
So how did you guys meet?
We met through like a mutual friend, which it wasn't planned. It just happened to happen. Like, we both met at this concert. So we met our mutual friend at the concert, and then I don't know. I didn't know who she was, but I knew she was like obviously connected to who I knew, and I just could not like take my eyes off her. Like, it was weird. Like, I haven't ever had that feeling before, ever. I just, like, I don't know. My eye just could not. I kept looking over. Needless to say, I didn't go and talk to her or say anything. I just, at that time, I was I am an introvert, but she is the exact opposite. And so through our years of marriage, she has helped me with my communication skills. But back then, like I said, I was like a brick wall. So there's no shot of me going over to talk to her. But
us guys are so smooth.
Oh, very well. You you gotta thank the social media nowadays. That's always a backup plan. It's like, oh, it's not like 20, 30 years ago where you just you didn't say hi, you're probably never going to see him again. Now it's you don't say hi, I can just do a little bit of digging online and I'll find you, which, take that for what it is. But that's how it kind of did. I just, obviously I knew that we would kind of known each other through some friends or whatnot, like complete strangers, and just hit her up the next day. I think on the go on Instagram, and just from there, I don't know. She was my best friend. She is my best friend, and she's the best person I know. And I think a lot of people will contest to that too. She's pretty, I don't know, she's incredible. She's superwoman, honestly, because she's getting her master's as well. She's going to be an MFT, so marriage family therapist, which, like I said, obviously I've been on the journey with her this whole time of what it takes to do that, and it's freaking nuts. Like, it's like, it rivals like being, and I hope I don't offend any healthcare professionals, but it rivals being some sort of healthcare profession, a nurse or like a PA or whatnot, with all the schooling you have to do, and then you got to get like 500 hours of practicum of just practicing with clients, and then you have a handful of years of doing supervision or of just practicing more underneath an actual therapist, and so it's a good 7-8 years before you're even actually doing what you wanted to do, like on your own. And so crazy. And then obviously she works as well, and I don't know, we've created a good little dynamic and culture in our house that allows us to, like, obviously we're crazy busy. Like, people tell us all the time, like, I don't know how you guys do it all, and we're like, we say that too, but obviously we've been doing it so long, we're like, this is the norm. Like, what do you mean? You're not busy from sunrise to sundown every single day? Like, what? But we've, like, through then we've been able to find time to, or what is important, our time together and intentionality, and so, I don't know, we always find our way back home to each other, making sure that we are good and connected. And that if other things have to be sacrificed, then they will be sacrificed, because us, her and I, are what's most important.
Yeah, I went through something similar where, like, my wife was attempting to get me to ask her on a date, and it took her, and I never did, and so finally she had to ask me.
Hey, there you go. That's how you know. That's how you know she was definitely into you then. Playing hard to get. So
you were smitten immediately. Was your wife?
What was that? So
you were attracted to her the minute you saw her. What, did your wife have the same feelings, or did it take a minute?
Yeah. No, she definitely did. I think a few months into us dating, she was already talking about me getting a ring and proposing. She was pushing that big time. I don't know. I guess it was just meant to be, because she's everything that I'm not. And she has helped me overcome so many things from my past and from just things that I've gone through growing up. And I don't know. I couldn't imagine doing life with anybody else, not even close. Like, that's just, she's my best friend. And
that's awesome. Does she CrossFit?
She does. Yep, she does. She'll tell you that that's the only way that. So back then, when I was a shell of a human, that was the only way we connected, was just that she would just follow me she would come to the gym with me whenever I was training, and that was our quality time, because I was just always in the gym before I learned how to communicate intentionally and actually tell her how I was feeling. So that was the first handful of months of us talking, was just us working out in the gym together next to each other. And for me, that filled me up, but I didn't know how to communicate it to her, so she just thought I was kind of, I don't know, I was just focusing on that and not her. But I was obviously focusing on her. I just, like I said, I didn't know how to say that with the skills that I had. So.
Yeah. I hear she's pretty good with a yoke, a little bit better than you.
She does some pretty crazy stuff with the yoke that I was surprised with. And I'm telling you, the yoke is definitely that's the secret sauce, man. You want to get strong, man, you get a yoke on your back. That's Elle was talking me into getting one, and then dang near just kills me with it every day. So, but Abigail, she's strong, man. She's strong too. So she gets under that thing, and I was like, a lot of guys couldn't really do that. That's pretty crazy. Good for you.
Yeah, at the 2017 games, I worked as a volunteer on the outdoor course where they did Strongman Sphere, and my job was to run down, grab the yoke, and bring it back after each heat.
Oh gosh.
And so it was funny, on the last men's heat, I was in the lane with Brent Fikowski, and I was like on my tiptoes to get that thing back. And the next heat was the first heat of women. I had Danny Horan, who was like 4'11", and I had to like get on my knees to get under it.
Oh, really? That's funny. So you had to take that thing all the way back with the weight on it already, or with the weight?
They took some of the weight off.
Okay, but you're still getting a workout in though.
Oh yeah. And it actually was pretty cool. The crowd was cheering for us because we were trying to do it so fast to be ready for the next heat.
Yeah. probably doing it faster than some of the athletes, definitely. That's
Um, so you have a dog?
Yeah, we do have a dog. Sky. She's right here on the floor. She's a little cattle dog. She's a little Queensland healer.
Nice. And I saw some TikTok dance
there you
videos. Oh, there she
She
is.
is. There you are right there. Sky.
Ah.
She doesn't like being picked up like this. But she's a borderline human. She's super smart, like legitimately. People think we're crazy, but then they meet her or they get to just see how she interacts, and she's like, oh, she could be a human. So.
And you do TikTok dance videos with her?
I don't. My wife just catches me doing stuff like that and then makes videos. So. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's not me. I'm still introverted at heart. So.
Well, I have to say, it looks like you're more into it than the dog is.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, dance is not her thing. But what her thing is just being a little loaf on the bed or on the couch, and just cuddling. She'll do that 24/7, which is a little rare for cattle dogs. Usually they're just off the wall, just energetic, hyper, but which is not a bad thing though. So yeah.
Well, I just want to finish up with, you've done so well in the Open. The quarterfinals are right around the corner.
Yeah.
Are you feeling good going into quarters? And what is your goal for the rest of the season?
Yes. Am I feeling good going into quarters? I think I'd have to say yes. Like, it's not like we're going to get any better, too, from now until next weekend. But just another, hard week of training this week. I'm sure a pretty tough half week next week. I'm sure we'll taper down a tiny bit and hit it. I don't know, feeling pretty good. Like I said, I did pretty good last year's quarterfinals for like what I was going through my training back then. And so my goal is obviously to get as high as possible to where if they do have the same like selection process for semis as they did last year where you kind of got to pick, whether that was true or not, I don't know. But if that is the case, I want to get as high as possible so I can hit the ones that hit the one that I want to. And then from there is just like through how the last few months and how the season's progressing, I think even talking with my coach, we've had to kind of shift our mindset on really what our goals were this year. It's kind of shifted from, hey, yeah, let's get to the games to, hey, no, let's compete at the games. Like we're not going to go for fun to now it's like, okay, now let's really try to compete at the games. And obviously you need to have that mindset there first before you can even make it possible. So I think that's how we're going to attack the rest of the season is we're going to go in and we're going to train and practice like we're going to go and do some special stuff in Madison this year. And so that's what the mind's at, the goal.
So you had talked about earlier in the interview where there was such a gap between like you being 75th in the world to the guys at the top.
Yeah.
What has the idea that you now belong, right? Now you know that you can do the times of the top guys.
Yeah.
What has that done for your training?
Like I said, it's a good thing. How you bring it up is something that still kind of goes through my head, at times. It even was going through this whole Open was like, is this real? Like, is this true, right? People are saying the Open doesn't matter. But I dissected it as, you know what? Even though, everyone's saying the Open doesn't matter, I'm pretty sure 99% of us are attacking it the same way every weekend, which is, yes, it's going to be part of our training that week, but we're all competitors, so we're still going to try to perform the best that we can in that workout. And so when it was all said and done and the cards were on the table, like my efforts were still pretty darn good compared to all the other people who were at the very, very top. How that affects training is just makes training more painful because now we got to up all of our standards of what we need to hit. So it's like, oh, your paces on your bike, row, and ski are going to need to be this now instead of this. And you need to hold that for, 10, it depends what we're doing, but just your standard of training is just increasing because it's not, how am I trying to phrase this? If we kept doing the same thing now, would we still be pretty darn fit and pretty good? Yeah, probably. But that's not the goal. The goal isn't just to be super fit. The goal is to be as fit as you individually can for what you are given. And so that's always pushing the envelope of what you can do. And that's what Elle does a lot with me. And I think sometimes he doesn't know, he gives me stuff where he just doesn't expect me to like survive. And sometimes I don't, but he's like, I got to challenge you somehow, dude. And, but I guess that's what it takes, is to consistently go in and challenge yourself. Like, you can't just go and check the box. Are there days where, hey, that's all you got and that's what you need to give is check the box? Yeah, definitely. But most of the time is you got to go in and you got to tell that voice, hey, we're going to go harder, and then also to still stay out of here. Like, that little voice in your head that wants you to slow down is like, no. Because now it's like, oh, your voice is telling you, well, this is still good enough, right? Like, this is where it got you now. And then you're like, no, well, it's not good enough. We still need to keep going. We don't want any doubts, questions going in. We want to be as prepared as possible when we go to semis, and to not, I don't know, to make sure that we did everything in our power for this year to matter. Because I don't know, I think that's the mindset I have to go in. It's no more, I guess, dreaming, as you could say. No more just kind of the dream. It's more of, this is what we're made to do. This is the reality. This is what we need to do.
That's so cool. Love that. Well, I want to thank you for jumping on with me, Matt. So excited for you. Can't wait to see you at the semis and at the games this year.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate you taking me down a little trip my own memory lane.
There you go.